Hi there, I'm Luke. Welcome back to Photo Bite. Today we've got something special. We've got the Olympus OMD EM-1X. Let's get into it. So here we have the Olympus OMD EM-1X. This is Olympus's first dual grip camera, and coming in at a price point of £2,800, it's not exactly the cheapest Olympus on the market. And for a dual grip, it's actually quite cheap, but this is a micro 4/3, and most dual grips like the Canon 1DX2 and also the Nikon D5, they're both full frame. So this is a very different approach from Olympus. They're sticking and standing by their micro 4/3 sensor. But in terms of sensor, you're looking at a 20 megapixel sensor. It has 18 frames a second in continuous autofocus and up to 60 frames per second when you use it locked, but also using the silent shutter as well, which basically just uses the sensor and doesn't rely on the mechanical shutter. In terms of your battery life, out of the two batteries inside, you can get up to about 2,500 shots. It does vary depending what settings you're using. So if you're using very aggressive settings like continuous autofocus, that may bring it down a bit. If you're being a bit more conservative, that may go up a bit, but just do bear that in mind as well. Now, this doesn't have an auto mode because this is for pros. So when it comes to actually using the machine, you got to bear in mind you need to know how to use it. So if you're coming into photography, wanting to do wildlife, this probably isn't the first camera for you to go for. But if you're used to the Olympus range and you take control of your cameras quite often, this could be a very good option for you. This has a 2.3 megapixel viewfinder, not the most pixels we've seen in a viewfinder, but definitely not the least as well. It does sit on the lower end, which is a bit frustrating. It would be nice to see a bit more clarity in the shots, but in using it in general practice, it hasn't been a major issue. So other things to mention as well is you can do, and this is something that Olympus have really pushed, is the high resolution shots. So handheld, using the 5-axis image stabilization, you can get up to a 50 megapixel photo, and then go to tripod mode, you get an 80 megapixel photo. Essentially what that does is it uses the pictures and the pixels, takes a picture, shifts it, takes another picture, shifts it, takes another picture and shifts it, and then that builds up the resolution to give you a higher resolution image. Inside, you've also got a 5-axis image stabilizer, also rated to 7 stops. So that means you can shoot at some very low exposures and still get some very sharp shots. Again, we'll be testing that out today and see how it performs. But right now, we're going to give it a little bit of a play and we'll talk you through our findings. Beautiful. I have to say, ease of use of the camera really isn't an issue. It's very, very simple, very easy to use. Only main issue that I have in terms of its design is the viewfinder. The resolution's a bit low. When you start shooting, it does get a bit pixelated because it's sending the processing power to other parts of the camera. Not a huge issue, but it is something to bear in mind when you are using the camera. And the other thing is the batteries, but we'll get to that in just 1 second. So the issue with the batteries is with most dual grip cameras like this, the battery is part of the grip. And not so much that it takes up part of the grip, but so much the fact that when you take the battery out, it is a part of the unit. So if you see that, you're like, right, I haven't got my battery in. But with this, the batteries are separate. Not a major issue, but for a camera like this, it's definitely worth having a battery that is part of the camera body, because then it's much easier for a pro to say, right, I haven't got a battery and I need to go charge it, because then you can make the rookie error of not putting both batteries in. Now, that wasn't the issue for us. We got a spare hiding away. We just want to see what the camera can do with just one battery. In terms of changing the frames per second, you just got to open it up, press the button down, and just go along. You basically just select. You also got silent operation. So we're just going to go with the silent, which means you're not going to hear it, but I am. And it's just going to be using the electronic sensor, and it's just going to take it electronically. So you're not going to hear anything. You're just going to see me do a movement, but you won't hear anything from me. Right, we've got Harrison coming down. Okay, that's really annoying. So me using the silent shooting mode, as I'm trying to follow Harrison along, it just cuts. So it's just getting little bits here and there. It's not giving me a chance to see what it's taking like a video. It would have been much handier if it was taking it like a video, because then I could track Harrison much easier. So if you're shooting anything fast, silent shooting probably won't be the one. That is a bit frustrating. It's still reading to the card, it's still reading and writing. I can see it flashing up in the corner. I've still got an amber light. We're just gonna move this back to the simple control, so sequential, there we go. See, when I'm doing that, I'm being able to see between the shots what I'm getting. There's only a slight bit of lag, but with Harrison going at the speed he is, it's not an issue. The issue would be when I'm doing cars going around a corner or just down a straight. That's when you're gonna have the issue. But I mean, overall, it's not a bad camera. You've got your dual grip. You've also got your dual card slots. They just sit on the side there. They haven't opted for the XQD like the newer cards have, but it is something to bear in mind. But for macro four thirds, it's honestly not that bad. In terms of price, it's great. I mean, if you're looking at a Nikon or a Canon 1DX2, you're looking at around, you know, £4,500, £5,000 for the body, which is a lot of money. And then with this, you're sitting at just below 3,000. So that's well within a D850 territory, and you cannot get 18 frames a second out of one of those. So you get quite a bit out of the Olympus. Yes, I know sensor size makes a difference. But what this does enable most photographers is you've got a much smaller lens, which means you've got a much smaller traveling companion with you. And it also means you could take two bodies and you feel the weight of one. This is currently the 12 to 40, so that's like a 2470 on any other full frame lens. And you know, in weight, it's honestly not that bad. It's really light. It doesn't, you know, hold you down. What's also great as well is because the sensor's a bit smaller, you can opt for other lenses. You can get a nice extra bit of reach that the other cameras can't without getting a massive, great lens. Now, what it does mean is with the higher resolution on a Micro Four Thirds, you have got pixels that are getting squashed. So low light will be an issue for people. But overall, a very, very impressive camera, very easy to use. Joystick is nice to use as well. That just enables you to change focus. I've got it set so it's a small square, but you can set it so it's an area, and you can also have it track as well. I'm just keeping it simple. I only want my subject in one part of the frame, and that's the middle. So I'm just keeping it there and just using it. And currently in our time of shooting, we've probably taken about, I don't know, 200, 300 images. And we've gone from 95% to 92. So that's off one battery, and bear in mind, you've got two. The audio got a bit bad, so what we'll do is we'll just talk you through. What we did is we met up with Harrison and we organised to get some portrait shots of him. We just wanted to test out the 50 megapixel handheld shots to see how good they were, see if they were usable and something that a pro could actually take advantage of. But we'll let it carry on and you guys can see what we got up to. I'm just going to get into position. I'm just going to change this over to my setting. So yeah, we're currently on shooting method high res mode. Cool. So we're just going to see how well this handles. Go all the way out to 12. Going to go at about there. Going to focus on Harrison's face. And we're just going to snap a picture. Right, so it's busy putting one together. I have a small feeling the frame's going to be a bit smaller, but we'll just see how it stands out. So you can't take consecutive shots, you've got to wait for it to process the images together. I'm just going to go into playback to see if I messed that up. Nope, that's fine. Right, now we're just going to do another one, but I'm just going to adjust my exposure. There we go. So we're going to go with a +1 exposure, so it really brings everything out. You can really test the highlights in this one as well. Right, 3, 2, 1. Right, it's just busy processing that one. It's not bad. I'm just going to take one not high resolution just to see how that comes out. Right, 3, 2, 1, take a picture. All right, so that's fine. Just going to zoom into that and see how the two compare. We'll put them up on the screen for you guys so you can have a look. But the first one, we're going to zoom in 100% and you're going to see the detail of Harrison. We're going to slowly work our way down. You can see the detail of the bike and then the gears and the pedal. And then we're going to zoom out. And now we're going to move over to the high resolution image of Harrison. And again, we're going to zoom in. But you can see there is a change. There is a bit of detail that's there. It's a bit soft in areas, but that might just be the focusing point. But if we get down to the gears, that's when you can see the detail really coming back out. So that really is quite impressive. Right, we're going to take advantage of the dual grip now. I'm going to take this bit off and we're going to shoot some actual portraits. Right, so we're just going to shift. It's getting a bit brighter out in the scene. We're just going to jump it down one. Alright, we're going to jump it down to +7. Take another, oh, we're going down again. Right, it's saying busy, but it's saying it landscape, which is weird. Right, sun's coming out. So what I'm gonna do is if we just roll you back a bit. That's it, that's it. Cool. There we go, and it's saying busy. Yeah, it's busy processing all that face and leg. But in terms of general shots, this is a great working camera. It operates like it should. I wouldn't really use the continuous silent if I was a pro doing this, because it just takes the picture, the last frame you see, and then the moment happens, and you just gotta hope that the camera's caught in. You gotta trust that you went with it. We're just gonna get another few more images. Beautiful. See how those came out. Pin sharp, pin sharp. So overall, we're very, very impressed with the Olympus OMD EM-1X. You know, it does stand its ground as a sportsman's camera. It does have a few areas to improve, mainly in the software department, especially when it comes to the options you have for what you are trying to track in terms of trains, aeroplanes, and motorsport. Doesn't exactly cover much. You're kind of missing out on other sports and wildlife for that matter. So they do have a few areas there to fix. It would be good to see a uniform battery where this whole unit is what you would actually use to charge. That way, when you see an empty slot, you know, I haven't got any batteries. Or if you make the mistake of having one battery compartment empty, you turn up to a shoot and you've only got the one battery, that can be a bit annoying. So just bear that in mind when you're looking at getting one of these cameras. Overall, it's a very, very easy piece of kit to use. You've got plenty of ports, you've got plenty of SD cards. You get 228 gigs in there at high speed, you're all good to go. It would have been good to see the use of an XQD card, but at the moment, those are quite expensive. But until then, overall, very good choice. Plenty of glass to go with Olympus as well, so you won't miss out there either. So that's our review of the Olympus OMD EM-1X. If you guys have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, and as always, my name is Luke, this is PhotoBite, and we'll see you next time.